Hey everyone, it's Ahmad. In this video, I'm going to go over my experience using the iPad Pro and the MacBook Pro. I'm going to share the differences between the two as well as the pros and the cons. Then I'll recommend which one you should get. So let's get started. I've been consistently using the iPad for almost 4 years now. It's a device I use a lot as a student and something I cannot do my work without since I started content creation a little over a year ago. I use the iPad for scripting, editing, and entertainment. The 12.9-inch screen is perfect for me to do all of these comfortably without feeling like I need more space. It's very easy to pick up and take with you on the go for when you're traveling or working at school or in a coffee shop. My favorite thing about the iPad is the accessories you can pair with it to enhance your experience and maximize your productivity. For example, if your day consists of scripting, emails, and planning out your videos, you can use the Magic Keyboard to give you a MacBook-like typing experience. If you're doing a lot of photo and video editing with some graphics design, you have the Apple Pencil for that. Even if you're just using your iPad as a secondary display to your main monitor, you have great iPad stand options to fit your needs. There are a few things I cannot do on the iPad yet, like coding for example. If I were able to code on this thing, then I probably wouldn't own a MacBook. The iPads are so powerful, especially with the M1 and M2 chips, that for the average person, you can get almost all your work done using it. My experience using the MacBook Pro has been just as good as the iPad Pro. I also use it for scripting, editing, and planning all my content, but where the MacBook Pro gets the most use is when I'm coding. I work as a software engineer for my day job, and the MacBook Pro is my machine of choice for writing code. I have a different MacBook for work, but my personal MacBook Pro gets a lot of coding use as well, working on personal projects and some client work every now and then. The MacBook I went with is a 14-inch model with the M1 Pro chip. I think the 14-inch is the perfect size to work with anywhere on the go or when you're traveling. For my day job, I use a 16-inch and it's definitely uncomfortably large for me and a bit too heavy for my liking. I actually have a video where I go over the pros and cons of both the 14-inch MacBook Pro versus the 16-inch, and you can check it out by clicking on the top right of this video to make a better decision on which size you should get. I love how Apple brought back all the popular ports like an SD card reader and an HDMI port to save you from carrying any extra dongles. The trackpad and keyboard experience are smooth and flawless as always. My favorite feature about the MacBooks is the screen. Yeah, it has a notch, but it honestly doesn't bother me that much, and once you've used it for a while, you'll hardly notice it. The screen is amazing for when you're watching movies or a YouTube video. I also do photo and video editing on here, and it's nice to get a better quality of color and visuals when editing. The M2 chip MacBook Pros have recently come out as well with some improvements to the model I currently have. So if you're dead set on getting and using a MacBook, definitely look into grabbing those. I can go on and on about all the good things and benefits of using the iPad Pro. Arguably, the best thing in my opinion about the iPad is the portability and ease of use. The device is so light and minimal, you can easily slip it in your bag and take it wherever you're going. Simply swipe up to unlock and you're good to go to start working. The Apple Silicon chips in these iPads make them so powerful it's crazy. Everything works so smoothly and I've never dealt with any issues, even with editing 3 to 5 minute 4K videos. No matter what type of work you're doing, using the iPad Pro will give you a smooth experience. Another cool thing about the iPad is the ability to pair with some awesome accessories. Now this can also be a con, and we'll go over it in the next section of this video. Accessories like the Apple Pencil and Magic Keyboard allow you to be more efficient with your work while also enjoying the process. The Magic Keyboard is really cool because with it your iPad turns into a MacBook almost. These accessories are great for both students and professionals, so if you're planning on getting an iPad, definitely pair it with these. The design and build quality on the iPad Pros are insane. I seriously cannot think of a way Apple can improve the design. Maybe making the bezels even more thin than what they already are. As slim as these devices are, they're still pretty sturdy. I'd still put a case on it just to be safe. The Smart Folio case from Apple is a solid choice without adding much weight or bulk to the iPad. As great as the iPad is, it does have a few issues. Going back to the accessories, which I mentioned as a good thing about the iPad Pro, can also be a con in a sense where it adds to the price range of the iPad. Working with some specific apps require the Apple Pencil, and I don't think anyone can type properly on the iPad for long periods of time without an actual keyboard. So if you were to get the iPad with just these two accessories, you're looking at MacBook Pro prices. This also isn't even considering any storage upgrade you'd like for the iPad, or if you want to get the larger 12.9-inch size. Even after you get all these upgrades to the iPad and pay a MacBook price, you still won't have access to some applications that are only available on Mac, like Final Cut, Premiere Pro, and Visual Studio Code. So would all that money spent even be worth it if you can't access the apps you need to get your work done? This is honestly my only issue with the iPad, as everything else about it is perfect. For someone who is only going to use it as an entertainment device, they can get by with the iPad by itself. But for students and professionals, you need to get a few other things to get the best experience, and those do shoot the total price up a bit. So in that situation, you have to decide if you still want to get the iPad, or would a MacBook be a better purchase for you since you're already planning on spending that much money. Like the iPad Pro, the MacBook Pro has so many great things about it. To start is its size and portability. Yes, it is and it won't be as light and portable as an iPad, but for a laptop it's very light and easy to take around with you. I'm talking about the 14-inch model specifically. The 16-inch however is a different story, and if you want to know the pros and cons for both, I actually have a video going over that, which you can check out on the top right of this video. Another cool thing about the MacBook Pro is the insane amount of power this machine has. Even if you have the base model with no spec upgrades, you have one beast of a machine that can handle anything you throw at it. For my coding, video, and photo editing needs, this is plenty, and for the average user, this will be just fine. Having a machine this powerful is great to future-proof you so you don't have to buy a new computer every 1 to 2 years. I also like that Apple brought back the popular ports like HDMI and an SD card slot, so now you don't have to be carrying carrying the dongle around wherever you go. I did see that the SD card reader has been giving some people a few issues, but it worked just fine for me. The keyboard and trackpad are flawless and make your typing and web browsing experience so enjoyable. Apple's trackpads are still the best in the market, and I don't think any of their competitors has a trackpad that can even compare. There is a reason why Apple sells its trackpad as its own separate product, because it's really that good. And finally, the screen. It's just such a beautiful display to watch a YouTube video or your favorite show or movie. The screen is so bright, and I don't even have the brightness up that high. It usually stays around the middle for me. So if you're a big movie person, the screen on this MacBook is something you'll enjoy a lot. When trying to come up with a few cons about the MacBook Pro, I honestly couldn't find any. I tried to find a situation or two where I thought the machine was lacking, but there was never a situation like that. In my opinion, it really is a flawless machine with its portability, power, screen, and battery life. This is just to show how great of a computer it is, and I definitely think it's worth the price tag. You'll have a solid computer for the next 3 to 5 years with the M1 or the M2 MacBook Pros. This part of the video was to talk about the cons of the MacBook Pro, but all I've said so far is good things about the computer. Maybe you guys have a con or two about the machine. If you do, please share them down below in the comments, as I'm curious to see what they are. Now let's talk about which device would be a better option for you, the iPad Pro or the MacBook Pro. So the iPad Pro or the MacBook Pro? Which one should you choose? I think it all depends on what you're doing. If you're doing the basics for work and school like note-taking, emails, and going through PowerPoints, the iPad would be a great option for you. It'll also be a great device to watch movies and catch up on your shows. The MacBook would also be a great option for you too, but it would be even better for someone who is doing more intense work like coding and intense video and photo editing. Keep in mind, when getting an iPad, you would also have to buy other accessories for it to get the most out of it, and this can increase the overall price like I mentioned earlier. You could get a MacBook for the same price as an iPad, the 12.9-inch model, to be specific with all its accessories. I would say lean towards the MacBook for your first device between the two and get the iPad later. But if you want the touchscreen experience, then you gotta go with the iPad. Make sure to grab the Apple Pencil and some variation of a keyboard with it. So yeah, these are my thoughts on the iPad Pro and the MacBook Pro. I hope you found it helpful and it helps you make a better decision on which one you should get. Like I mentioned earlier, my choice would be the MacBook Pro, as you can start getting all your work done on the machine right out the box, where with the iPad you would have to buy additional accessories to make the most out of it. Whichever one you choose though, enjoy and make the most out of it, as they're both some really amazing machines. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out my TikTok and Instagram for more tech and lifestyle content. I also have a video where I went a little more in depth with my experience using the MacBook Pro, so definitely check that out as well if you're leaning towards the MacBook. That's it for me today, and I'll see you all in my next video. Have a great day.